Okay. Hello, and we are the Indian Walkability Correspondents, and I am the group lead. I'm Nancy Deborah. I'm from Madurai. I'm a research scholar, and my study area is focused on sustainable urban mobility, which is widely about being able to move sustainably. So that includes the largest part includes walkability. So I'm happy to be a part of this group and help organize and facilitate, coordinate this group. I have a bunch of really enthusiastic, really talented people in my group, which I'm very proud of. And here we have the newest members, Felix, John, and Pallavi here, and I'll give it over to Felix to introduce himself. Felix, you can start off.
Vanakkam. Hi, my name is Felix John and I am from Chennai. I have been in Chennai for a pretty long time, and in between I stayed abroad for some time and then I came back to Chennai. I'm interested in this forum. It's one of the reasons because I'm also a cyclist. I do cycling as an activity and also I take it up as alternate transport. So I came across Anika on LinkedIn, and I thought since the stakeholders are the same here for both cycling and walking, that is the non-motorized transport, I wanted to extend my support also for this group to see where we can go, what we can do for the pedestrians, and basically the vulnerable part of the group, vulnerable group of the road. Yeah. So that's how I got introduced, and I am also the bicycle mayor for Chennai. Lately trying to advocate and promote the use of the bicycle as an alternate mode of transport, trying to achieve an ambitious goal to turn Chennai, all the car users and the bike users to take up cycling. So I'm on that path. So, but while we are doing that, I think this is all integrated together because all the users are going to be part of the road, and pedestrians and cyclists and motorbike users, car users, public transport has to be holistic. So looking forward to learn a lot more from this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. Pallavi, can you introduce yourself to the group and to the network, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here with all of you. I'm Pallavi Devre. I'm an architect and urban designer by profession. I have a organization that I recently co-founded. It's called Urban Research Foundation. I come from a very small city called Aurangabad in Maharashtra. I've been working in different cities from 2016, Mumbai, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Paris for a short while, and pandemic brought me back to my own hometown, and I felt that I should use the knowledge that I have, the experience, the work experience that I had gathered, and try to use that in my own city. So we started it started as an awareness group on Facebook, where we started talking about these concepts of urban design and planning in the regional language, that is Marathi, so that common people could really understand these jargons that we keep using left, right, and center. And then eventually we decided to take a step further, and we registered a non-profit and started working very closely with the local urban local body, the municipal corporation and the smart city there. We just recently submitted the non-motorized transport policy for the city. Yeah, and And yeah, I myself, I like walking. I like exploring the city on foot, observing the city at a pedestrian space and all. So walkability has always been a major concern for me when I'm working. Most of my projects are, you know, they're around mobility and non-motorized transport. So yes, I think that's all.
Nice.
Thank you, Pallavi. Happy to have you here. Gautam, over to you.
Yes. Well, I'm Gautam Merwan. I am from Chennai, and I joined this Walkability Correspondence Network just a few months earlier. And I'm here because I'm curious to learn. So by background, I am a mechanical engineer who then became a transportation designer. And at some point, I decided instead of designing cars, I wanted to design alternatives for the car. I wanted to design the larger spectrum of transportation. And so cycling, walking, public transit, all of these modes and how they mingle on what we call streets and why there is certain kind of ownership of that space for different modes of transportation and what can we do to change that sense of ownership. So I'm a person who's genuinely just curious about these topics, curious to learn more, and obviously find out how, as a designer, I can also contribute towards shaping and designing cities alongside urban planners and urban designers. So that's a little bit about my background. And there are some members who aren't here with us right now. They're probably busy, but I'll go ahead and introduce two of them. So Argo is a walkability correspondent who hails from the city of Kolkata, and he is an extreme enthusiast of trams. And he is also a serious advocate for trams, especially within Kolkata, but also is very interested in spreading the love of trams all across India. And Puneet is our walkability correspondent from Delhi. He is a climate change professional, and he himself is also involved with forming and leading this kind of a network and this kind of a group in relation to climate change and climate change activists and professionals within the country. So yeah, that's a little about them.
So yeah, thank you, Gautam. And I'd like to say a few words about the other two members who are not here today. One is Urmi. She is based in Imphal, and she is the founding director of Placemaking Foundation. She does such awesome work with the local government. Has an NGO. She's a not-for-profit organization, and she has such vivid ideas. And talking to her for 5 minutes has blown my mind. I'm still recovering from that previous talk I had. It was weeks ago and I'm still recovering. So she's brilliant and we are very proud to have her. And another one is someone of my own kind, Rituparna Das. She's a research scholar from IIT Kharagpur. I have been nagging her with questions and she has been very patient. So has Gautam. So yeah, I'm really grateful for having these lovely people in this group. Rituparna's work is not exactly walkability, but a very child-friendly neighborhood. She's an architect by profession, and her work is entirely a child-friendly neighborhood. I mean, which makes complete sense for an urban city, how it should be. So yeah, her work is very simple, and she's a very sweet lady. She's kind of busy in her hometown. She's based out of Kolkata, and she's studying both the cities, Kolkata and Kharagpur, as part of the thesis. So as a group, we wish all of our members the best of luck in their endeavors. And especially, I'll take some of the wishes for myself and Rituparna. We need to finish our thesis this year. So yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, that's a little about our group. We have one other member. She's also an architect, Moksha. She's yet to join us. And I think she will be here before we can close the meeting. So to hear her own words, she was very enthusiastic about joining the group and contributing. She has urbanism spinning. She's associated with them, and she does wonderful work with. She's based in Chandigarh, and she has wonderful photography stills. Skills. Her Instagram account is so awesome. I kept scrolling the other day when she shared, and it was really nice to see all those pictures. The features that is depicted, and that's how we want our India, the whole of India, to be. But at least grateful that at least a tiny part of India can be that way. So as a group, we'll try forward to bring about changes and ideas that could change the entire India, hopefully in a few years down the lane. So that's about our group members. And
Nancy, I would like to add a little something I missed out.
Sure, Pallavi. Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm also currently a student of Gender and Development Studies, and that's also my focus area right now, to study gender and walkability. So walkability through the lens of gender. And I'm hoping to. So I also had a discussion today, just a couple of hours earlier, with Annika about starting a new group around this theme. And let's see.
Lovely. Yay.
Nice.
So nice. And all the very best. You start the group and we'll all join.
Sure. I hope you all join.
Obviously, we will be there. So I would like to share a small presentation about, I cannot call it a presentation per se. It's just a bunch of photos that I took around the cities I lived and moved through. So I'm based out of Madurai, and let me just share my screen, the story I wanted. Annika, you need to allow me to screen share.
Okay, done.
Thank you. So here we are. I just had a little, a few photographs that I put together for, showing about my city. It's like something like, a show and tell. So I am based in Madurai. It is a heritage town. It is a heritage city. It is in the southernmost part of India. There is a state called Tamil Nadu, where we are all from, Chennai, Madurai, Trichy, it's all here. So I am working in Madurai. My native birthplace is Madurai, but I've lived all my life in Trichy. It's another city nearby. So these are kind of the images and spots that I've found while loitering around the city, and especially after starting my research work, I've been bothered about these instances where I can see so plainly, so right in front of my naked eye, the entire scenario is problematic, and there is nothing being done about the problem. So these are just few of the instances. So my very first issue with walking, the issue I would face as a layperson, or even as a researcher, the response that I get for lack of walkability in your city, in your area. Why you always take a motorbike or a car wherever you go? If I ask anyone that question, the first answer that I get is the sun. It is so hot. It is literally always boiling hot. We used to have a running joke that says, you can just crack open an egg in a plate and leave it out, and you'll have a perfectly cooked omelette. So that's how hot we get. And when you think of the heat and everything, you would want the government, the infrastructure providing body, whoever it is, even if it is a college or a community, a gated community or something like that, you would think that there would be shaded places, because there are so much heat issues coming. So there would be shaded places, but unfortunately there are no shaded places. Whenever you see a tree or somewhere shady or somewhere, like sort of a refuge, that's where the garbage is. That's where the garbage can is situated. The corporation comes and collects trash from there, and the people in that area dump their trash there. It's very it's very heartbreaking, because that is kind of the trees are the only refuge, and the trees are providing refuge for the trash. That kind of always questioned. I mean, are we so worse than these garbage? They don't even respect us on the road. So the very first issue that I've faced and I've always wondered about is, where is the respect for people who use their natural, transport mode, their legs? Okay, so where is the respect? If you respect someone, then you would be, giving them what they need, right? So yeah. And when I started thinking about that, I started noticing places, and I started noticing instances where we can get shade. I mean, if I am to suggest someone to, let's take a walk. If I'm going to suggest someone like that, or if I'm going to ask someone to, join me on a walk, obviously I sweat like crazy. So my fellows also sweat like crazy. And in that case, if I'm going to look for shade, this is what I get. Anywhere underneath a tree is a garbage spot, and the rest of the shade comes from the bridges, flyovers, bridges. This is technically supposed to be a flyover to alleviate congestion on a road that was not congested in the first place. So as I'm from the civil engineering background, and sort of a transportation major, and the very first question is for that for a road to be determined congested, is that it should the volume capacity ratio should be greater than 1. But this particular road is in Salem. It is a city that is known for its industrial activities. That road this particular road has never been congested. I mean, I did my undergraduate program there, and I've been on this road so many times. This road was always busy, never congested. But the CM was from the city, so he decided that, oh, okay, the government has a lot of funds, and all of it should be built, spent building flyovers. So the city is now called as Palam. This is called Salem, and it's called as Palam because Palam means bridges in Tamil. This city has just so many flyovers. I don't know if actually so many crores were spent on the flyovers themselves, or it went into anybody's pocket. But goddamn, there are so many flyovers, unnecessary concrete structures that could have otherwise provided so much good infrastructure, like sidewalks. The same road from another angle, it has sidewalks, yeah, but it doesn't have sidewalks also. So this is opposite to a bus stand, where you can see the buses stopping and picking up people, and people are getting down all in the middle of the road, and they are crossing, they are running, everything. I was able to click this picture because I was on a two-wheeler behind my, my husband was driving, and I was on a two-wheeler, and against all his warnings, quite literally warnings, I was taking these pictures. It was like a daredevil act for me, but I don't know how to really express my feelings about this picture, this scenario. This is what we see every day, everywhere, almost everywhere in Tamil Nadu. I'm not sure of most of the states here, but most of the South Indian states are like this. People just walk, and people just, drive and turn, make a U-turn just right in the middle of the road. If somebody is walking, they'll just say, okay, wait, Paya, over nimsham. That is all. That is all they'll be saying. Just give me 1 minute. I'll turn and I'll go. That is all. It's everything is a transaction. There are high speed bikes on the same road where people with children walk. So yeah. And the rest of the sidewalks that have been never been built, post the turn of 2000s, these are such old sidewalks, such old areas that have given just a repainting or a new signboard. That's all that was done. But there was so much of funds allocated for this wards. I cannot exactly go into the numbers, but then there is so much going on without proper drainages, without proper paths or markings. Even you can say from this image itself, you can say that there is no way people can walk here, right? But people do walk, and people do. This is a largely sought after fruit shop. It's a very local one, but yeah, largely sought after, and people just come and go, and it's all very common, and people don't mind that. I think the largest problem comes with our people not minding that. The very people who are going to buy from that shop not minding that there is not enough space for them to walk after buying the food. So there should be space for the vendor and for the people to walk by. That kind of need or demand is kind of missing, or maybe from what I've spoken so far with people have kind of lost hope. I mean, I'll keep saying, who's going to listen? That's the kind of thought they have. So yeah, the same kind of sidewalks in another part of the same city, where the Britishers, when the British rule was going on, this was one of the most popular, most busy spots. But after all these changes and all, the roads are still wide, thankfully, and the trees are not cut, because these are such old trees that you can see in the image, and they are serving as a car park. But beyond that car park, there is at least 3-meter wide. There is a 3-meter wide sidewalk, and people don't use that. But still, at least there are some sidewalks, some natural parking spaces that are still available. So what I understood from this is, this location, what I've taken is full of government buildings, government offices, where one side is a head post office, and the other side is BSNL's major exchange, telephone exchange spot. So it's kind of the biggest office, and it's all government buildings and government. So if the ruling administration would actually put their thought behind what they are doing, they could provide good sidewalks, and they could provide enough of infrastructure, very simple infrastructure for people to utilize. I mean, that was something I understood from this. But then they went on, and under the name of smart city, the same city, this is in front of the government hospital, the biggest one in Trichy, we have a sidewalk, and you can clearly see people not using the sidewalk. I mean, this was I was so proud of seeing the sidewalk with the accessibility, visually challenged people, the guidance for visually challenged people, the tiles and all that, the markings, the railings. I was so happy. I was so proud. This was a few months ago. And last week I'm here, everything is dug up. And there was a protest going on by the people. The protest was really bizarre, actually. So the protest was because the police had come, and they told people that they should not be parking. You can see a couple of motorbikes here, that they should not be parking, or they should not be setting up any small, makeshift shops. The police had been very strict about it, and they have been uprooting people from that place or arresting people. And that was the reason for the protest. They were the people for whom the sidewalks were built. They were protesting, causing a huge traffic jam on top of the already dug up roads, because the roads were dug up for underground drainage stuff and all that. So there was literally no space to move for the car, for the auto rickshaw, for the bike, for the bicycle, for the walking people. Nobody was able to move, and that is such a wide road. It was very heartbreaking, and it was the worst of all of that was that people for whom this should be, and people who should be welcoming the changes, were blindly protesting that they should be allowed to sit and sell on those sidewalks. If they are allowed to sit and sell on those sidewalks, you cannot walk. Already, even when it is very empty, you can see the people walking on the road and not on the sidewalks. And people are parking on the sidewalks. That's kind of very much, contradictory, and people keep asking for stuff from the government. We need good roads, we need good spaces, we need good movement spaces. I mean, when you have something and then they just go and contradict themselves, saying, no, that is not okay, I'm going to use those spaces for my own benefit. Yeah, there is a lot of complicated economical equation going on behind that, because these small shops form a part of the local economy, the moving economy, and then those economy being directly influencing the larger economy and all that. I don't understand the economy part, but what was saddening was that people don't know what they want and what they don't want. So yeah, that was one thing, and this was just an image that I love. This route is something I love. It was very peaceful. It is beside the battalion, the police battalion, where they train for rifle shooting and all that, and it is very cool there. It is such a lovely place to walk, and we have a park also there, and all of this is there, but it is very far from the city center, and there are very few people living in here. This is kind of the outermost part of the city. This is the innermost part of the city, and this is the sidewalk we have. It's the level of movement we have. One other thing that I've always found disturbing is the number of share autos, the one as you can see in the picture, the number of share autos existing in India. I'm not sure about the North India, but South, these share autos are sort of a blessing and a curse, because they are a blessing for people who want to travel, but they don't want the hassle of a bus, but they can't afford a proper auto rickshaw for themselves. Where a auto rickshaw ride would cost them like 100 to 150 rupees, this share auto would cost them 10 to 15 rupees. That is such a good alternative, but they are so unregulated. They don't have any regulations. They don't, and they are such a hazard. Literally, if you can see the person standing, this I took this picture, he went directly swerved to that point, just swerved, and it was very just to watch that. But I had a mini heart attack that time. It was like as if the
Well, I guess her signal broke.
I'm still here, so I don't know. I don't even know if it's my network or hers. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Pretty sure it's hers.
I think it was hers.
Pretty
Yeah.
choppy for me too.
Okay, Felix left. Okay. All right, so she'll be back. Stay put. Right to her on the WhatsApp. Let's see if she's there.
Well, while we're waiting, Pallavi, if you're there,
Yeah, I'm
hey,
there. Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear you talk about your experiences in Aurangabad, particularly. I visited Aurangabad early 2000s, I think. And if I remember
Okay.
correctly, that was when I think one of the first PVR theaters had opened up in Ahmedabad,
Oh,
in
yes,
Aurangabad.
yes, yes, yes.
And so I've seen it then, and I had obviously roamed around the city as a very small kid, mostly on a two-wheeler with my cousins. But I am very curious how much has changed, and especially because Aurangabad also is a pretty hot place, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm genuinely curious what walkability means. And one thing that's been really fascinating for me from this group and everything is learning that there isn't just one right way to do it, although
Yeah.
there may be several wrong ways to do it. And so sometimes walkability actually is quite pleasant, and it works and it's wonderful here in India in
Mm.
contexts that don't look anything like small European towns or cities, right?
No, no, right.
And so I'm curious to find out how much has changed about Aurangabad, and are there instances where maybe it's not looking neat and paved, but then you do genuinely enjoy walking around the city in those areas or something like that?
Oh no. So it has not changed. I mean, there has been no major change in the city since the time you visited, because I can, yeah, early 2000s, I remember how it was. I mean, before that, I don't know. I was too, I mean, I was also a kid. I don't remember how it looked, but yeah, early 2000s, I remember, and I can say that it has not changed much. Uh, I don't think there have been new footpaths built after that. After that,
Wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
all the Aurangabad is infamous for its potholes, right? And in the last 5 years, there have been new roads constructed, but roads is sorry. Nancy is back. Let's continue later. Let's
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Oh, so sorry. I didn't know I got cut. I was talking and suddenly it was too quiet. I'm so sorry. This always happens when I present, something's wrong with my luck or something.
But
Where
please
was I?
proceed. Sorry?
You know, where did I stop actually?
I was solidly with you until you said share autos are a blessing and a curse.
Oh my god. Okay, that was kind of the last. Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot. Good. So is it being recorded still? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. This is the town that I'm in. This is the city that I am in. I'm in actually a town nearby to the main city. So this is my college, and I love the view because this is the top of a small mount. And this was a forest once, a complete forest. It was called as the mountain forest in the early days, where there was literally nothing. And this college was constructed in 1950. Now, until then, there was no roads. There are still no roads, but yeah, until then, it was so much more of a proper forest. And these trees that you see here are not planted or grown or raised. They are just maintained. Those are from the original forest. So that is the one of the very few picky things that I love about my campus. And one other thing is these sidewalks. The walking area is awesome. And yeah, if you are able to read the text on the screen, yes, I had a very hard time trying not to picture anybody else, capturing anybody else in the picture, because you would see the entire sidewalk covered with people, students discussing important stuff, if you know what I mean. So, and we have the bottom picture is the place where I come out of the college, and the top left picture is the main campus, the central focus point of the campus. The bottom picture is where almost that is, I live very close to my campus. So the small tiny figure that you can see is my son who loves this space. And this is the only space in the entire city that I can allow him to, walk on his own without holding his hand, or I really have a leash kind of thing for him. I have a different leash for my puppies and I have a leash for this guy. Everywhere I go, I have to take that leash, or else I'm really scared and nervous that I might lose him to some fast-paced motorbike rider. So that's kind of state, and this is the only place where I can let him free and let him be by himself and walk and run. So I love that part of my campus. And yeah, as I said, this was forest. So we have a lot of monkeys here, and the monkeys are hostile to almost everyone. But I like them, and they are kind of my friends. They even pick my coffee and they drink and everything. And we have a lot of dogs also, which are kind of seen as a plague for by most of the people. But I think that they form a really important part of the urban urban village concept that we have here in India. They keep us grounded that we are not all techie and technologically advanced stuff. We are not aliens. We are people who came from this earth, and these creatures are those that keep me grounded. I think of them, I see them, and immediately most of my anxiety goes away. So this is a good time to label me weird. Yeah. So that's about it. Thank you so much for listening amidst my many interruptions.